So currently, my desk is like just in my room, which is a pretty standard setup, I feel like. There are plenty of people who just like in their room they have a desk or something like that. But I also have this closet that like you've seen my closet. It's like unnecessarily large.
It's like another
Like
room.
it's like another room, and it has no reason being that big. It's like basically the size of my bathroom for some reason. And I really don't know why. Whoever designed this apartment was like, yeah, no, somebody who lives here is gonna want like a giant closet. So I have this big old closet, and I've been thinking about, oh, like maybe I could put my desk in the closet, and I could like kind of have like a little office space. And I think maybe that'd be nice. Right now I'm just kind of using it as like storage because like what else are you gonna put in this giant closet? The only thing is that it does not currently have any like air conditioning linked to it, so I would also need to get like a fan or something because it gets pretty hot in there if you sit in there for too long.
You're absolutely right about it getting hot in there because
Yeah.
when we were recording the first episodes of Coffee Prince, we would record them together on the floor in your closet. We'd grab like all the pillows off the couches.
We would.
And just throw them down there so our butts wouldn't fall asleep while we were recording.
That's right. I literally gather all the pillows in this apartment and like put them in the closet, and we'd tell my roommate, we'd be like, hey, we're gonna record a podcast episode. See you in like, I don't know, like a couple hours or something, however long it takes.
And we'd take all the laptop cords and like run them under the door, and it was like an extra.
That's right, because there's an outlet right outside the closet, and there is not an outlet inside the closet.
And then we'd wrap recording, and we'd open the door, and then just the burst of cold air, and we would realize like, oh, I didn't know I was sweaty until I got out of this closet.
I'd literally turn the fan on in my room so that, like, when we opened it, we would immediately feel the air. Because...
God.
Aww.
And that was when we were recording the first, like, handful of episodes, and now here we are at the last show episode of the series, and the penultimate episode of our first Just Kiss Already season.
Aww. Yeah, that's right. This is the final episode of Coffee Prince. We've watched in total 16 hours of Coffee Prince, and we're about to watch the 17th. Yeah. Isn't that weird?
When you put it like that, and I realize that I've put over a day of my life into just watching Coffee Prince almost, like it's a little bit scary.
Days are 24 hours. 16 is significantly less than that.
I've watched a few episodes multiple times.
Oh, aw.
Maybe a total of 8. Probably not. So you're probably still right to call me out on it, but...
You know what? Actually, never mind. Because I feel like 16 actually is a good amount of hours for the day. And then if you sleep for 8 hours, then you get like a full day. So...
But if you don't sleep, you can watch more Coffee Prince.
You're so right. Which was exactly what middle school Kara would do when she was watching Coffee Prince instead of going to bed.
Oh, man. That's right. I forget that you have like such a long history associated with this show. And now we're about to watch the final episode, me for the first time.
Okay, don't make me cry. What?
I'm a Coffee Prince baby. I'm about to become a Coffee Prince adolescent. My voice just cracked.
Oh my gosh, you're about to graduate from Coffee Prince. Wow, that's right. This is your first true like rom-com TV show, and soon it'll wrap up, and then we'll watch some more, and you'll truly delve into this genre that Kara has dedicated like a solid 10 years of her life to.
And as we've discussed, I've got about a day, so I'm catching up.
Yeah. You'll get there eventually. You'll don't worry. You're on your way. I'm sure at some point I'll have to take a break.
Retire the throne.
Oh my god. Oh, that's right though. Episode 17 is the episode we are about to watch, which, as we've said, is the final episode of Coffee Prince. So this is it. This is where we hopefully tie up all of our loose ends, hopefully, reach some some conclusion for some of the plot lines that we've been following, because there are quite a few. We've got our main one, but there are a lot others kind of going on. And we wrap it all up. So I guess for the last time with Coffee Prince, but not the last time you will do this, Jaren, what do you think is going to happen in episode 17 of Coffee Prince?
I think while you were talking just now, I think I figured it out. Because I was going through in my head and I was being like, how do we wrap up all these plot threads? And I'm like, the answer is we actually kind of don't have to. Because what we're going to do is this last episode is going to be sad goodbye for like 40 minutes, I think. And then the last 10 minutes, we're going to do time skip 2 years. Sung and Yuju's baby is like a weird toddler now.
Oh my god.
Yeah, Biel is like taller maybe? Or maybe he just like dresses less flashy. Maybe he has glasses to show that time has passed. And then
yeah, he's got to do something.
Yeah. Grandma, dead. We visit her grave. We never see her hear about her time. She's just gone.
She never sees the wedding?
No, but it'll be like a Yoda thing. They'll CGI her ghost in at the wedding next to Obi-Wan Kenobi.
I'm glad that Obi-Wan is coming to the wedding.
He wouldn't miss it for the world. And then we're gonna cut to the new power couple of CB and Unsei, and they're gonna be married, very young marriage, very little drama associated with it. And he's gonna have like a cool job, like maybe he'll be new manager of Coffee Prince. Even though there's been zero setup dedicated to him learning how to not be a hot himbo, it's all just gonna be there.
I feel like he could easily be new manager of Coffee Prince while continuing his brand of hot himbo. I think it's totally possible to marry the two together.
And maybe he'll have glasses so that we'll know he's older and more mature. Sengi is gonna leave for Japan, or like I think that's what's gonna happen. Like there's gonna be some he's striking out on his own to continue the search for Yuko. Like it's gonna be like this kind of like bittersweet Mono no Oware type thing where he's like, I still love this person and I'm still going to seek them out, even though for all intents and purposes they have run away from me a couple times.
Okay, I'm glad you kind of explained that because I did not know what the words you just said meant.
Oh yeah, that's actually a really cool rom-com thing. We'll talk about it sometime. And I feel like the last shot of the whole thing, you know what, it's not gonna be it, but I want it to be, it's gonna be like Unsei and Unshan have moved out, and it's just gonna be like Mama is like putting on nice clothes and she's running downstairs and it's like, oh, there's Mr. Ku there and they're about to go on a date, and then Mr. Hong just fucking like power bombs through a window or something.
My god.
Like wearing like a dirty shirt, and he's like, where are we going, guys?
Oh my god. Perpetual third wheel. Aww.
Yeah, like Mr. Ku goes to put the arm around her and Mr. Hong just like pops up between the two of them and like spreads them apart a little bit.
They're like sitting down in a movie theater and they're like about to sit, and then Mr. Hong just comes in and sits in the seat between them like, oh, hey guys.
He's like,
glad we all got the tickets.
Did I miss Gingy? I don't want to miss Gingy. The only movie playing in Coffee Prince is Shrek the Third.
There's only one movie in Coffee Prince, and it is Shrek the Third.
And that's how it's all gonna end.
Oh my god, wow. That sounds, honestly, the perfect ending, I think.
Yeah, like, really. I like eat your heart out, Game of Thrones.
Oh my god. All right, well, I'm down. I'm down for big sad goodbye and then suddenly 10 minutes of just like exactly what we wanted for everybody. Ooh. Oh, actually, I do want to ask before finishing up your prediction. How about Harim? How do you think he's doing in the future?
Oh god, I completely spaced on him. I think he and Biel are just gonna kind of like be unceremoniously married off screen, and like we're only we're only gonna know that he's like learned his lesson and settled down because he's gonna be like chasing after her, holding her bag or something, and then like 3 kids trail behind them. It'll be like,
oh my god. Oh my god. I cannot imagine Harim having children. Hold on.
The dissidents.
Hold on a second. Small Harims? I don't know how I feel about it.
Just
you know what?
The flirtiest toddlers you ever done see.
Maybe he needs some little gremlin children to teach him.
Yeah.
Teach him how to.
And maybe he'll have some glasses to show that he's like matured and settled into his.
We cut to 2 years in the future and everybody has glasses.
The sun got a little brighter in those 2 years, so everybody developed astigmatism.
Oh my god. Except for any character that already had glasses, like Mr. Hong, they no longer have glasses.
Yeah, they got contacts. And that's how it's all gonna happen.
All right, I look forward to the glasses future of Coffee Prince. Sounds very good. Whew, all right, well, I guess then without further ado, let's go watch the final cup of Coffee Prince. Hi, I am Kara, and I love rom-coms.
I'm Jaren, and I'm into having lots of feelings.
Oh, that's good, because you know what we're both into? That would be hot drinks and hot boys.
And this is...
Just kiss already. Let's get, let's episode.
Let's episode.
Let's do episode.
It feels like I'm watching like a Swedish dub of an anime, and they're like, find out next time. Let's episode.
Do you often watch Swedish dubs of anime?
Well, have you heard the German intro to Naruto?
No, I have not.
It's in English, and it's very cool because the singer just goes, Sasuke's a real cool dude. Sakura, the beautiful. And it's like worse than a 4Kids version would be.
Oh my gosh, it's like worse than Kids Bop. It's
yeah, oh god. I had to listen to a lot of Kids Bop for work. And
oh really? Oh yeah, that's right.
What's
you used
that
to
Bruno Mars?
teach the children science.
I did. What's that Bruno Mars song where he's like, sex by the fire at night?
At night.
Yeah.
Something.
The kids
Lucky
Bop.
for you, that's what I like. What? Sorry, please tell me.
The Kids Bop. The Kids Bop version is strawberry milkshakes on ice. Hang by the fire at night.
What?
Lucky for you, that's what I like.
Oh my god.
Why are you drinking strawberry milkshakes in front of the fire? They're gonna melt so fast.
Yeah, also, why are you drinking strawberry milkshakes over ice?
I didn't even realize that that's the weirdest part. God.
I feel like what are we rhyming with? Just like night? Like they could have easily used the word night. Like
if this were kingdom, I'd be a knight. Lucky for you, that's what I like.
Come over, we'll play Shovel Knights.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so good. That's so bad, and that's so good.
Mom said put my bruise on ice.
Oh my god.
Oh,
man.
My face hurts already. This is gonna be a good one.
Oh no. This is gonna be a good one because, ladies and gentlemen, this is it. The last episode of Coffee Prince. It's the final cup, as they say in the title screen.
A weirdly ominous subtitle for an episode, The Final Cup. It sounds like the worst thing you could get in a tarot reading. Like, oh, here's honestly, the tower, and here's the final cup.
Oh, God. That actually does sound really spooky. I didn't think of this while watching the episode. I thought of it just now because we keep saying the word cup. Remember Cup Cup?
I do not remember Cup
You remember
Cup.
Cup Cup.
Oh, yeah! Cup Cup. The Pokemon Cup Cup.
Cup Cup.
Yeah, it's like the final episode of Coffee Prince, so all of our great returning characters are gonna be here, including Cup Cup.
Aww, including Cup Cup. Actually, Jaren, I think this might be the most accurate prediction you've had thus far, because you did a really good job of guessing what the structure of this episode was going to be.
I did. I was very pleased to find out, but also heartbreakingly upset over the parts that I missed.
Okay, yeah. There were, I think, there were some good misses. Like Grandma was not dead, which was nice to see. But there were also some kind of, they couldn't let us go without being like one last cry, one last heartbreak.
Yeah, you know? One last like very subtle, like I almost missed it, and then I was like, wait, no, but no, it's there. God.
Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about. And we'll get into that soon. But yes, we have made it. Episode 17. To those of us who have been counting along at home, that's right, 17 comes after 16. And you can count so high now. Oh my God. like 16 episodes ago, you only knew number 1. And like now, we're almost at 20. But you don't know that one yet. That one comes later.
I can't believe you. I can't believe you've been double digits for 7 episodes now.
Don't dream too big. 20 is a great goal, but it's kind of far, okay? So don't...
Don't strain yourself.
Yeah. So we actually start out this episode with kind of like a cute little montage of like Han-gil saying cute things and thinking about all the cute moments he's had with Un-chan and stuff, which is very sweet.
Yeah, I really liked this, like, because like how do you start a last episode, especially after like a cliffhanger from last time? And I really thought that like this reflective moment where like, yeah, we see all the buildup that's led to them here being in a bed together and showing like so much skin that I was like, whoa, is this Coffee Prince? It just it sideswiped me a little bit.
Han-gil struggles to put on his pants. He like wakes up and he's like, that's right, slept together with my cute GF last night. And then he like tries to kind of like sneak out of bed and put on his pants, but he like falls a little bit.
He like sleeps like a vampire. Like Un-chan is like clinging to him, and he just has his arms folded across his chest, laying flat on his back, like he had to do it to him.
Maybe he has back problems. He got to sleep on his back. You don't know.
Yeah, he's got that like nice Tempur-Pedic mattress that rolls into his dresser. I wrote Han-gil the mermaid and Un-chan the bagworm because he's got both of his feet in one leg of his pants, so he's got like a monofin situation. And Un-chan just completely covers herself in the comforter and tries to like absorb her clothes through the opening where her head fits.
Yeah, she's like, okay, so like, can you like go over there so I can get dressed? And he's like, we literally just slept together. I don't understand. And she's like, yeah, okay, great. Can you go over there?
Yeah, it's bright out now. It's different.
So then we cut to cute breakfast. Very cute breakfast outside.
Yes, I love this so much because it was just so calm. Like there's like no weird emotion anymore. It just feels like everything is completely leveled off and they're like very calmly and cutely like instructing each other.
Yeah.
He's being like, okay, when you're there, don't do this, don't do this. And she's like, okay, well, I'm gone. Don't work too hard. Like, make sure you eat well and take breaks. And I was like, oh,
I'm like, oh my God. Also, Un-chan does a sick table walk move where she wants to go sit over by Han-gil, and so she walks across the table in order to do so. And we're like, child. Okay, that's fine. Honestly, it's Un-chan. It's fine. I accept the table walk move.
She could do a lot worse, and we'd still be like, that's fine. Like, she's our babe.
I think my favorite part of this scene is the reference to Unsei, where Han-gil is like, yeah, I should give her some allowance money, because Unsei, like, is covering for Un-chen by being like, she calls up and she's like, hey, listen, like, Mom was sus, but don't worry, I lied to her, but also, like, just so you know, get your ass back here at some point. Go to work, because I told her you went to work, but then, you know, don't do this again. And Han-gil makes a comment like, oh, I should give her some allowance, you know, for being a good sister. And Un-chen is like, don't do that. Her personality will go bad. And I'm like, Un-chen, your sister is already a money goblin. There's no going back.
It's there.
She's already at this level.
She's got the dragon fever.
There's nothing we can do, like, at this point. Just give her the money.
Yeah, at least then she will be appeased for a time.
Yeah. Appease her.
And then in the car, I love all the car shots in this show.
They're
so
very
good.
cute, but they're also very nerve-wracking.
Yeah, there's one later on that made me go, please. It's just... But Un-chan's got, like, the ring on her left hand, and they're just, like, they're doing the very cute, very realistic couple thing of, like, we're gonna slap our hands together. Like, we're not holding hands, we're not, like, holding wrists. We're just gonna slap these hands together, because that's what we do.
That's what you
them.
do with hands, honestly. I don't see any other use for them.
She, like, bites his knuckles, and it's just, like, these two bros in polos just, like, cruising down the street.
You know how it goes when you got two bros in polos?
And then the two of them get to coffee prints, where we get, like, one quick cut as they're pulling up to Harim, who is, like, cleaning a very high surface.
Yeah, he's being a window goblin, because he's just, like, crouching on this windowsill, and he's, like, cleaning, I guess, and then he sees them, and he's like, oh.
Yeah, we get the one reaction shot of him seeing them, and then he hops into frame, like, full frog style, pops back up, and is like, hey, guys, what's going on?
Guys, I noticed that your wardrobe has not changed. And we're like, Harim, listen.
Harim, it's called the walk of shame. You don't need to make it worse.
I feel like, honestly, though, kind of love that Harim is just, like, hyping it up. Like, it's not even like a shameful. He's like, he's, like, so excited for them.
I do not understand where his excitement comes from, but I'm here for it, you know? Like, if I saw two of my friends walking up after, like, presumably having a night together, I probably wouldn't be like, oh, shit, oh, shit. But,
maybe he's just, like, so lost in the sauce of waiting for this relationship to happen that he's just, like, he's just happy that they're happy.
You know what, you're right. He's our audience surrogate in this moment. He's speaking for us.
So then we cut to Sweeper getting a bath, and it's like, Sweeper, get clean. Honestly, very good.
It's good because, like, I feel like Sweeper's been in maybe, like, 8-10 episodes of this 17-episode series, and I kind of wasn't expecting to, like, see him again. I kind of thought that, like, maybe the dog actor, like, moved on to bigger and better things in his
we
career.
have to revisit
But, you know,
Sweeper.
he came back for the finale.
We have to have Sweeper back for the final cup. Like, he's like one of the best characters in the entire series. If he hadn't made an appearance, honestly, this final episode wouldn't have mattered. Wouldn't have meant anything. Not without Sweeper.
I do feel like I would have said that if he did not appear in this episode.
I feel like everybody else got their final cameo. Where was Sweeper? Although, to be fair, we don't necessarily have a lot of, like, small characters in this show. We kind of only have, like, pretty consistently recurring characters. And then, like, maybe one or two, like, newer additions near the end of this series. So it's actually, like, as opposed to having, like, people come back that we haven't seen in a while, it's more just kind of, like, getting the updates on the main cast. It's actually a pretty good ensemble show, I think.
I agree. I really felt like everybody had their moment this episode, and everybody had been building to that moment, like, the whole time. But yeah, so Sweeper's getting a bath, and I guess his two owners are there, and they're doing their, like, fun, we're an established old couple bickering.
Oh, that's right. I totally forgot that he has, like, owners or whatever. It's weird.
He has like people attached to him sometimes.
That's so weird. Actually, in all honesty, I mean, I know we'll get into it later, but I did at some point in this episode write down, all right, Sung and Yuju, you did it. You win. You won me over. I like you. I'm happy for you. You know.
I think I agree. I think I'm finally ready to let him off the hook by the end of this episode.
We can finally leave the hate train. We can finally get off at the stop.
And then we cut like right back to Coffee Prince, where Harim is literally just congratulating Unchan and Hangyul. He's like looking for them, like trying to catch them.
This has like made his day.
And then he bursts. It's his whole week. He bursts into the changing room and sees like Unchan helping Hangyul button, and then he immediately runs out and starts lying very loudly about what he saw them doing to Mr. Hong. And I'm like, the customers, I can see their hair in the background.
Oh no, they're
like,
absolutely there. I feel like at this point, like this is what they come to Coffee Prince for. They love the drama, the shenanigans, the hijinks. If they're still coming to this cafe after everything that this staff has put them through, like they obviously enjoy it.
It's so good because Hangyul like runs out and he's like, hey, what are you doing? Stop, what are you doing? And then Unchan just kind of hides in the room. And then Harim's like, oh, look at her, she's so red. And then she like pokes her head out of the door. And I'm like,
it's so good.
And then they fast forward like a little bit to later that night. I think it's like closing time.
Yeah, we're like, all right, a day of work anyway.
Yeah, that was the only fun thing that happened at the job today. So Unchan is like sweeping upstairs, and Hangyul just comes in and immediately starts being like, you're doing it wrong.
My god, yeah.
And he makes her like sweep in straight lines like behind the wall, I guess you would call that, the partition.
Yeah, whatever that like random hallway is.
Yeah, you know what I mean.
You know.
And she like runs by and he's like, oh, you didn't do it good, you gotta do it again. And she goes again and discovers like a shoebox.
Did a very good job of convincing me that Hangyul was just here to like mess with Unchan a little.
Yes.
And then it's like, oh no, he's doing his like, there's a shoebox there, and he's like, what should we open it? Should we? And Unchan is like, and he's like, yeah, no, we should totally open this, and then maybe when oh wow, these shoes aren't they your size? Oh wow, and it's like, oh.
I've heard of like red bottoms, but I've never seen like red tops, because these shoes just have like two halved apples on the toe of them.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay.
I think they're cute. They're very sweet because he talks about, he's like, well, you know, when you're a barista, you're going to have to be on your feet a lot. So I wanted to get you some shoes. And I was like, oh, yes. That's such a like thoughtful gift.
Honestly, yeah. Like your feet hurt is a bad hurt to have. So if you want your significant other to have a good day, give them nice standing shoes.
Give them some shoes. However, I do want to point out that within this conversation, one of the things that comes up is Unchan is like, how'd you know my shoe size? And Hangyul is like, oh, it was like the same length as my palm. And you know what, Jaren? If I do recall, we one time had a dream sequence where Hangyul and Unchan obviously didn't know what sleeping together really means. And there was a little bit of like, take the foot and put it up and use it as a phone. And I'm thinking maybe that's what happened last night, because I don't know about you, but why else would Hangyul know exactly the length of Unchan's foot? You know, it's just...
I think you're onto something here. Because very recently, one of our friends was talking to us about how to get covertly get sizing for jewelry for their partner.
Yes.
And this reminded me of that, but I was like, what if he took his moment to find out how big the shoe was, while they were fooling around? That's gotta be it. He's gotta be like, okay, so this is an important part of the act, is that you have to let me hold my hand against your foot real quick.
He's like, Unchan, everybody does this when they sleep together for the first time, okay? It's fine.
It's tradition in my family.
Oh man, that'd be a pretty good one. I have not heard that one as a method of getting someone's shoe size. That one's pretty good.
Like he just has one of those metal footlocker things to like find the exact shoe size. Like whipping it out and being like, put your foot here real quick.
But yeah, I just kind of wrote down like they are inseparable right now. They are just like full on puppy love. Like they do not want to be apart for 2 seconds, which we see a lot in the next scene where they both go home and they're on the phone and they have a little bit of phone sleepover.
They are straight vibing throughout like this entire episode. And when they're on the phone, Unchan's like, yeah, you like girls like Yuju, right? Who are like smart and sexy and cool. And he's like, yep. And she's like, but that's not me at all. And then he starts doing the thing where he's like, yeah, you're real fucking troublesome, buddy. Why do I put up with you? I'm such a saint.
Me, Hangul. I'm such a saint.
And then she kind of flips it back on him by being like, oh, well, I like guys who are like my dad. And he's like, well, what was your dad like? And so she starts talking about like how he had kind eyes and how like when Hangul smiles, it like reminds her of her dad. And I'm like, damn, that's very, very sweet. And like this show did such a good job of going from like the moments of we're playing around and we're like fake bickering to like now we're gonna do some real vulnerable shit and make you feel like, oh.
Yeah, that's a really good sum up of my feelings from this scene. It's just, oh.
This whole episode, it's like when you have a wind-up toy, but instead of walking, it cries. And the whole episode, they're just winding, and I'm going...
and then I just cry.
And then at some point, I cry.
Yeah, and then at some point, the crying happens. This part gave me a lot of nostalgia because I used to like with like my online friends, we used to have like Skype sleepovers where we would hang out and then we would like fall asleep together, but we wouldn't end the call. That way when we wake up we could be like, oh hey.
Aww.
But yeah, that was super cute. They Unchan first falls asleep on the phone and then they end up falling asleep together. And then when Hangul wakes up, he wakes up to just like the sounds of Unchan like I don't know. She's like being like in her sleep.
Yeah. And he like hangs up so that he can call her and that the ringtone will wake her up. And then when she answers, he just starts singing to her, and it's so powerful because like he's not the best singer, but like he's trying, and you can hear like the parts where he kind of falters, but it's still very good because it's very earnest. And then I broke out laughing when he goes, one more time. And I was like...
One more. Sing it with me now.
He goes like full Kermit on the last I love you. He's like, I love you.
Oh my god, yeah. Yeah, he tries to like break out this like slash between Kermit and like maybe like opera voice.
Yeah, he was very inspired by Eddie Redmayne in Les Miserables.
Hello?
People said that he sounded like Kermit.
Aww. And then Unchan gets inspired by that, and she just starts singing to Unsei, and Unsei is like, please get off of me. Please.
It's the best, because, like, Unchan, like, is basically tackling onto Unsei and, like, rolling her around as she's gaining consciousness, and is like, one more time, I love you. Unsei is like, what do you, get off me, no!
Oh, man. So then we cut to Coffee Prince, and I wrote down, no, the coffee boys are sad camping in the alcove because CB, Harim, and Sengi are all like in the little sink kitchen waffle alcove, and they're all just like sitting on the ground looking at each other as Unchan and Mr. Hong and Hangul talk about how she's going to be leaving.
Mr. Hong, like, clams up about it pretty hard. He's just like, I'm doing dishes. Like, get out of here. Why are you taking so long to say goodbye? You should just break it off fast. And I'm like, oh, you poor old turd. Just be nice. Just be nice, man.
It's very like she gives him a hug and a little kiss on the cheek. And it's like,
He's so funny. He's like, what if manager sees?
Yeah, I know. He's like, stop. Your boyfriend could come in. Then we have Um, just heartbreak after heartbreak of goodbye, where we go upstairs and Unchen is just crying in her locker. Like, the door's open, she's just huddled up in there, and she's just sad. And the three boys are kind of like outside, and Harim is being like, CB, you going first. And they all take their turn just giving her goodbyes. And I cried. Did you? How about you, Darren? How moist are your eyes right now?
The exact part where I burst into tears was during Harim's. So I'll talk more about that as we go through each of the boys in turn.
Mm-hmm. So we start with CB, and he very sweetly is like, I respect you, you know, I don't even know. He just like, it's just like sad, and he gives her a hug, and she's like, you crying? Why are you crying? While she's crying, and it's like, oh my god.
He specifically tells her, like, hey, I'll take care of Angel and your mom. Like, you don't have to worry about it. And I'm like, oh my god.
Oh god.
Oh, he's like, I'm the man of the house now. And I'm like, I didn't even think about that he would, like, step up while Unchan was gone to help provide for the family.
No.
But, like, he totally would.
He totally would.
And also, he's the tallest, so he's the only one who could hide his gift on top of the locker where he grabs it from.
He has, like, a little gift bag up on top, and he's like, here you go, I got this for you. It's makeup. And I was like, aw.
God, I loved that so much. And then, like, he tearfully walks out, and then that's when I realized that they're going one at a time. Like, they're just sending people in.
I know, at first it kind of feels like, oh, well, maybe, like, they're trying to comfort her, and he's like, well, maybe CB could comfort her, but no, this is like a goodbye train.
Oh, it's so hard.
It's so... So Sengi comes in next, and he, of everybody, is the most composed, which is very on brand for him. But he kind of, like, just kind of, like, wordlessly stands in front of her and, like, holds out his hand. And she's like, what are you doing? This is so awkward. And he's like, he doesn't say anything. He's just like, you can tell that his eyes are being like, just take my hand. And so she does. Mm-hmm.
He tells her, he's like, take care and do well. And then he says, ganbare, and she says, ganbate. And I'm like, damn!
Damn it!
That one, this is where I got real tight. This is where, like, you know, when you're trying not to cry and you're like, it's a good show.
You feel it coming, okay. But you're like, no, I'll be fine.
Yeah, but you're like, thank God there's not one more boy.
Literally. Oh, but just kidding, because there is one more boy. And Sengi goes out, and Harim is like, wait, you're already done? I'm not ready. No, hold on, guys. And they have to, like, kind of shove him in. Yeah. And he comes in, and he looks at Unchen, and he immediately just, like, goes and stands somewhere else because he cannot. And I cannot. And I think you cannot.
Yeah, this is the part where I just, like, couldn't take it. Because for all... I feel like I gave Harim so much shit unnecessarily.
I also was feeling because, that.
Like,
I was like, oh.
It's like he's not dumb or childish. It's that he, like, doesn't know how to articulate complex emotions. So he's very sad, and, like, he knows this about himself. So what he does is he writes Unchan a letter, and then he just like bolts before she can read it in front of him.
He
like,
literally walks across the room, starts kind of crying, turns around, walks over to Unchan, gives her big hug, just like big, nice looking, very sad hug, hands her the letter, and then bolts out of there. And I was like, oh my god. Because, like, if you think about it, I feel like they've all obviously become very close, but I do feel like of the three of them, Harim and Unchan had the most, like, almost like bickering kind of like cat and mouse kind of relationship where there were always like a back and forth between them. And
yeah,
it's like they never had, or I shouldn't say never, because they obviously had some rougher, more serious moments. But for the most part, their interactions were always very lighthearted or kind of like underlined by like we're joking around or, you know, we're just giving each other shit. And so like to see this emotional moment from the two of them was just like, oh God, ouch, oh no.
Yeah, I don't know if this is anything, but like thinking about it, it always felt like in CB and Unchan's relationship, he was deferring to her as like the older person and also like his girlfriend's sister. Like Unchan felt like the authority figure in that.
Yes.
And then between Unchan and Sungi, it felt like she would often defer to Sungi because like he's giving good advice and he's very calm and even tempered. But like with her and Harim, it's like nobody's really deferring to anybody. Like they were on the same level and like they were close because of that, I think. So yeah, I cried.
Yeah. No, I too. This was a painful moment for me as well.
Dude, the letter starts with my Chan, and I was like,
oh God. Yeah, no, it just hit. It hit.
They knew what they were doing.
Yeah. Ugh.
So we go from there to Han Sung's place where Yuju is carrying up some laundry, and she's on the phone with her husband, and he's talking about like, oh, I'll be home soon, blah blah blah, and they're just kind of going back and forth doing their normal thing, and then she gets to the top of the staircase and collapses while he's on the phone, and so he, like, she's not responding, he's still listening into this, and then we just see like he pulls up like real fast in his car, almost hits the cameraman, and like runs out, leaves the door open, car on, and runs up, and then we cut to the hospital and she's just like laying in bed. And at this point I thought this was going to be the payoff for last episode where they were talking about like, oh, you know, you need to take it easy, like you're pregnant. I was like, okay, so is this like the you were right moment where like it's gonna be, oh, I'm gonna take it easy from now on?
Yeah.
And it ends up not being that at all, and we don't even find out till later, but I don't feel like I can wait till later to like comment on this. But like whatever happens is never explained, but like the baby is not carried to term, presumably because of this. And
I assume that it's a miscarriage.
And it was such an out of nowhere thing, and it comes like before the halfway mark of this episode, and it gives you so much to think about in terms of how Han Sung was so excited to be a dad, and how Yuju was like earnestly trying to like be more motherly and stuff like that. And like this just kind of happens in the middle of like all this other emotional stuff going on, and you almost don't register it. But it wasn't until I like stopped watching the episode that I really processed that like, yeah, this happens. When they have like other scenes kind of around it, because one of the things that we have in this episode is we have like a little bit of a time skip, but when we revisit Han Sung and Yuju, it's done very subtly. Like there's a scene where they meet up and they're at a restaurant, and I remember, you know, for a second I was just kind of like, wait, where is the baby? Isn't the baby? Exactly.
And maybe they have a babysitter. And then later they have a scene where they're at home and Yuju can't sleep, and it's just a shot of her on the porch, and there's just these two little baby shoes sitting on the railing, and she's just kind of sitting there sadly, and Han Sung comes out and he's like, you know, hey, you know, can't sleep, and they just kind of have a moment out there together. And yeah, it's never directly referenced, or I shouldn't say referenced, because those baby shoes were pretty good reference. But like, it's never directly mentioned. It's never brought up as like a point of conversation for them. It's just kind of like something that happened to them. And it's good to see that, you know, when we do have that time skip, that even though that still is obviously something that is hurting them, that they're still together and getting through it together and supporting each other. But yeah, it sucks.
Yeah, and like we say, the ending that they get feels like a good ending for them.
Yes.
But we'll talk more about their post time skip stuff once we get to it in sequence, I think.
Yeah.
And the next scene is frantically packing at Unchan's house.
Oh my gosh, yeah. She's got this like little suitcase that's like kind of like a zipper kind of deal.
Yeah.
And she's shoving clothes in there, and Mom keeps coming in with like food.
It's so funny because Mom's like, yeah, they won't have this over there. You gotta bring a whole container that'll last you 2 years.
And then Hangul is like, no, they have Korean markets. Like you'll be able to find it. What's more important is you need to bring medicine. And then like Unse comes in and she's like, you need all these books, right? You're studying, right? This is a thing that you're going to need.
And Unchan's like, I already read all of those. Go put them back. What are you doing?
Oh my god. It's just like frantic, and Hangul is on the phone, and then he's like telling her things that she shouldn't bring, and she's trying to like relay them to Mom, and Mom is like, no, okay, talk on the phone and then pack. Don't do both at the same time. It's too confusing.
God, I honestly like, I'm gonna remember that little piece of advice he gives about bringing medicine with you if you can, because it might be hard in another country to get the medicine you need with the language barrier.
Mm-hmm. Also, medicine might be a little different over there, and you don't know like what your body reacts to and stuff.
Very true. And then we get like a very, very sad moment that I wasn't even expecting, because it's kind of couched in this like fun, packing, frantic energy scene.
Yeah.
Is Mama from off screen is like, just get off the phone and then pack. It's too hard to do both at the same time.
Yeah, after she's like, all right.
She walks into the other room, and then we just cut, and we see Unse is like leaning against the wall, crying, sitting down. And you're like, oh my god. And then show Mama, and she's also crying, but like trying not to make a big deal out of it. And then cut back to Unchan, and she's just bawling, and I'm like, wait, no, this wasn't supposed to happen yet.
It very much gives you the impression of like, oh, this is the hectic night before and it's fine, and then we'll have a shot at the airport where everybody cries, and it's like, oh no, you get it right now. Oh god.
Yeah, it was a sucker punch, definitely.
I feel like of everybody, I think Unse got me the most.
Yeah.
Like everything I think made me cry. Like I was crying this whole time. The cheeks wet, everything, whole shebang. But something about Unse just kind of like curled up against the wall after she had just like, you know, come in with this big stack of books and then been like, oh, turned away because these aren't what she needs, and then didn't even get that far before she had to just kind of like, oh god, oh, it hurts. This, when you said we were gonna have like solid 40 minutes of sad goodbye, it like, ooh. Wow.
And then continuing the sadness, we cut from that to the 3 sad boys just like lined up, and they're all holding trays with their little towels, and I'm like, no. And they're just kind of going back and forth about like, oh man, it's already happening. It doesn't feel right anymore. The energy is gone. And I'm like,
I know, they're like, well, if Unchan's not here, like, what's the point of even being at Coffee Prince?
What's the point of living if Unchan's not here right now?
I obviously have seen this show before and like knew what was going to happen. But like I've said time and time before, one of my favorite things about this show is just like how it can make me feel the exact same surge of sadness that I felt when I watched it for the very first time. Like I kept writing down just like no in all caps because it was just so emotional. Like, this isn't even necessarily a sad scene, but still I was like, this whole show we got to see, you know, these characters create such tight bonds with each other. And, you know, we got to see their relationships go from just like complete strangers to the point where one of them is leaving and they're all expressing like it's not going to be the same without her. I think it hasn't even really been a year, right, since they've all met. And
yeah, they've
already reached this point of like just utter despair because she's going away. And, I mean, like, it hurts. It hurt me. I'm sad. But I love it.
I will say, like, I was kind of, because I had already cried once. I normally don't cry, like, multiple times during a thing, no matter what. Because, like, you get that big emotional catharsis and then it's out. But I was like, okay, so they're sad. Like, it's not going to be the same. And then they're like, where's Mr. Hong? And they all look up. And he's, like, looking for the plane that Eun-chan's on. And I'm like, what are you doing?
He's outside on the little patio. And he says something like, I feel like the plane would have taken off by now. And he's just, like, looking. Oh, my God. So I'm a very, like, once I start crying, it's not stopping anytime soon. I can maybe, like, chill for a second, but once something kind of emotional starts up again, it's back. So, like, I was just done. There was no coming back for me at this point.
God.
And then, oh my God, we cut to Han-gil just crying and driving. Well, not yet, because first he's on the phone with Eun-chan, and so the night before when she was with Mama and Eun-se, he told her, he was like, I'm not going to come see you off at the airport because I'm pretty sure I would just, like, hold on to you and never let go. Like, I wouldn't let you leave.
Yeah.
And then she's on the phone with him now, and she tells him, she's like, yeah, my mom and Eun-se both didn't come to the airport because we thought, you know, it'd be too sad, it'd be too much, too hard to say goodbye. And she tells him, I love you, a couple of times. She kind of, like, starts out, and she's like, I love you. And then you can just see, like, his face scrunching up because the emotions are hitting him. And she just says it again, and she finally is just kind of like, Choi Han-gil, I love you. And he just says, like, I know! And then he hangs up, and he just starts bawling. And it's like, oh.
I was like, I've said this many times, but, like, anytime a character is driving, I'm immediately like, please don't die. Please
Literally.
don't. Like, just, ugh. And then when he was crying, I was like, that's like double die. That's like 2 causes right there. You can't double die right now, Han-gil.
Very nerve-wracking.
And then the music kicks in that we've heard before, and it's just, I saw you. And I'm like,
yes. Oh God. Oh, they hit us. They hit us. That's all I can really say is this show took the smackdown on our emotions.
They slammed my emotions down big style.
Oh. And then they slap us with the 2 years later, and we're like, oh.
I was so distraught at this point. I was like, I called it.
I looked at like the timestamp to be like, how exact was Jaren's prediction? And he got pretty close. It was a bit closer to like a half and half as opposed to like 40-10. Though to be fair, episodes are an hour, so 40-20 is kind of more like what your prediction was really saying. And then we really had more of like a 30-30. So honestly, you got it really close.
I was a little bit proud of myself through the tears, but I was still like, damn, 10 minutes is a big difference. Next time.
I feel like you called we were gonna have the big kind of emotional, like, just kind of drawn out goodbye that transitioned from like cute goodbye, and then like slowly we just got everybody sad goodbye, and then immediately cut to 2 years later. You know, no need to check out what's going on in Italy. You might as well just.
Yeah, we start on like this beautiful photo wall, and I wrote that like these are all stellar pictures. Like Eun-chan is styling, she's posing, it's all fantastic, and it's the voiceover. Like we had the voiceover of Han-gil in the opening. This time it's Eun-chan reading like her letters, and she's like, "Here's a kiss for you," and it's like, and then there's just like a piece of paper with 4 kiss marks on it, and I'm like, "Oh, that's too cute."
We can see her hair getting shaggier as it grows out.
Yeah, it's so good.
Very good.
And we see Han-gil is like eating breakfast, looking at these pictures, and he's like very excited because Eun-chan's coming back soon. I think I might have been like reeling from like the surge of happiness after the time skip, because the next note I have is "Coffee Princess!" ! Exclamation mark, question mark.
there is, in fact, a moment in between that I think you will want to talk about. And we, after seeing Han Gyul eating breakfast and kind of like cut to him being happy, we then cut to how CB and Unse are doing.
Thank you.
And
heck yes.
Wouldn't you guess it? Guess who's a model, but specifically for his back? CB!
It's so good.
Oh
the way
God.
we're like introduced to them is he's just like he's doing push-ups, and then we cut to like Unse moving gently up and down, and it's like she's sitting on his back while he gets like a pump going for the photo shoot.
It like, because we had this kind of in indication that like, oh, Unse wants to be like an idol and like make it big and help her family. There's kind of that first impression of like, oh, maybe like Unse is like an actress or a model now, like she did it. And then we just get like the director being like, all right, can we get the back models on set? And then CB like stands up, she kind of like, you know, dusts him off, fixes his hair a little, and is like, go get him. And then he goes to stand over and immediately turns and faces the backdrop because just his back is what they want in the picture, and he like flexes. And then Unse comes up and she's like giving the staff like orange juice and his resume and being like, hi, nice to meet you. So that's my boyfriend CB and he's available for work. And it's like, oh yes, oh yes.
It's so good because he's very awkward. He's playing it very awkward when like the woman in the photo shoot is like touching his shoulder. He's just kind of like, ugh. But it's so good to see that like I think he gets like misted up or something to at one point, because I was cracking up about it. But she's so supportive of him, which is what I loved about this like post time skip relationship, is that she's like, yeah, go get him, or like, you're doing a great job. Like, she's his hype man instead of him always being her hype man. And I was like, damn, that's such a good addition.
Mm-hmm. And honestly, this dynamic makes way more sense. Like, CB being big, dumb, sexy, like, he goes in there, he take the picture, they give him the mist, and Unse, the money goblin, who's good at schmoozing people and, like, you know, talking and, like, making up lies and scenarios, is his manager, being, like, working her way to make sure he makes it big in the business. Like, it makes so much sense that this is how it ended up. At least for now, because they are still young.
The perfect ending for this pair so far, I think.
I think so, yeah. A really good, just like one of the first things we see after the time skip. Just excellent.
And then I think we see Han Gyul is doing like more of his board meeting style stuff that we see him do with Dad in one episode.
Yes.
And that's where I think I saw it written on like the back wall was like Coffee Princess.
Yes.
And I'm like, oh my god, we're doing it. We're shooting the moon. We're going to do it.
Yeah.
And
Han Gyul's next business venture is to open up another cafe, but the theme for this one is, as opposed to it being a cafe full of pretty boys, it's now a cafe full of pretty girls called Coffee Princess.
Oh god, and that's honestly such a good idea as well.
I love it.
Also, you can give your girlfriend a job. Company that you made.
I love, my favorite part is when he's at the board meeting and like the picture that he has for the PowerPoint is just a picture of Un-chan, and then over it it says Coffee Princess.
It's like she's like speaking to him through the picture as well, like he's getting distracted.
Yeah.
Oh god.
So then he actually gets a call from Un-chan, and she says, hey, so remember how I was in that like coffee competition and I got like first place and I was named like the best barista or whatever? And he's like, yeah. And she's like, well, one of the prizes is actually that I get to study in Italy for another year. So I'm actually not coming back for like a year. And he's like, what?
He was in his car driving, and then the second she's like, one more year, he puts his turn signal on so he can pull over and like sit on his car while he talks to her.
Oh yeah, we see the car like swerve over into the right lane.
His first reaction is like, no, absolutely not. Like, your contract was for 2 years. Like, what's going on? And then she's like, do you want me to not do it? And then he's like, no, like, obviously I want what's best for you. And then it just kind of gets like left there where she's like, another year. And he's like, but I wanted it now.
Yeah. Yeah. So then we kind of keep going around and seeing what's happening with everybody else. And we get reminded of the fact that when we were introduced to Harim as a character, he was an interior designer. And he still is, because he's helping the construction and design of Coffee Princess's new location.
It's so good as well, because like he gets like a text from somebody who I was assuming was Biel. And he's like, that's it. I'm breaking up with this girl right now, deleting her number. And then he like hovers over the delete button and he's like, and then he like quickly calls over the other guy who's working on the site. And he's like, what's the mission here? To make a cute and fun space. And he's like, does this look cute and or fun to you? Like he just takes it out on his worker instead.
Yeah. It was kind of funny to think about the fact that supposedly Harim is a good interior designer because he made, he was like, he did the design of Coffee Prince, and Coffee Prince looks really good, and like Han Yul even re-brought him on to do Coffee Princess. But he's been working part-time at the cafe as a barista. And I'm like, so does he only ever get interior design jobs from Han Yul? Like, has he never like tried to, like make his own career out of this? Like
He's like, look, being an interior designer is great money, but I can't hit on everybody who comes through the door at that job.
He's like, it's not the same when you design the place, then you have to leave. Like, come on.
Come on, give me a job. Come on,
give me a job.
And then back at Coffee Prince, a student appears.
Yes.
And a young woman is asking Mr. Hong, like, teach me how to make coffee. I've heard about you. I want to be a barista. And I was like, okay, this is new.
Yeah.
What's going on here?
And, the last episode, we did have that kind of, like, realization from the staff, like, oh, well, maybe we're going to need someone to help us out. Which I guess wouldn't be really where this goes, because I feel like, if anything, they would send her to Coffee Princess, because that makes a lot more sense. But
that's
regardless, she's here. Yeah, right? She's here, and she starts talking to the boys. I think my favorite part of this scene is she goes up to Harim, and he kind of, like, makes this comment. He's like, whoa, wait. You're kind of a lot like Un-chan. Just my type. Which reminds me, in his note to Un-chan when he was leaving, he kind of like admits like, hey, I know you and Han Gyul are a thing, but if you weren't, like, I might have tried to like ask you out. And I was like, oh my god, cute.
Yeah, I totally would have pursued you. I was like,
yeah. He's like, out of respect for my bro, I refrain, and now you're also a cool bro. However, just so you know, love you. And I was like,
Just so you know.
Yeah. Just so you know. I wish everyone could see me winking right now because it's very cheesy. It does not look smooth at all.
She closes both eyes.
Yeah.
So this is where we get the next Sung and Yuju scene where they're having like dinner at the hotel and
yeah, Sung walks into this restaurant and he kind of like claps his hand together and like points at Yuju and he's like, "Hey!" And then he immediately goes, "Yes, I'm late." And Yuju is like, yeah, you're late." And they do their like fun bicker thing, but I just wrote down like, Sung, when you walk in and you know you're late, you don't walk in and go, "Hey."
So he I remember remarking like when they cut to the scene, Yuju looked much older and like from the 2-year time skip, like everybody kind of looked the same with some like mildly longer hair maybe. Nobody got glasses to show that time had passed.
Yeah, I was kind of shocked that nobody got glasses.
I really thought at least one would. I'm not gonna lie.
I was really banking on CB.
Yes, he would have been smoking with some glasses, some box frames.
Oh, yeah.
And then this scene kind of concludes with Sung being like, look, I got us a hotel room. We are gonna go bang right now. And then they do. Yeah. And I was like, good for them. Maybe the baby is at like grandma's house or something.
Yeah, maybe we have like a sitter right now or something, Anyway, glad they're doing good. This is actually the part where I wrote like, all right, you guys won me over. because they were doing the same thing that they've done throughout this entire series, where they're just kind of bickering, and like, you know, she's being like, you're late, and he's being like, well, yeah, well, this and this, and she's like, okay, well, then yada yada yada. But I guess maybe now that they've been through everything that they've been through, and they're married, and we just kind of like have seen them be happy with each other genuinely, you know, after we've gotten to see them like talk about the things that they went through and like kind of resolve those differences that they had for so long, that now it no longer feels like me being like, are you guys sure that you should be dating if this is how you're gonna act all the time? And now it feels like this is how they do cute. Like, this is how they this is their little language that they have with each other. Like, this is their thing that nobody else can kind of come in on. And when people do come in on it, it's very weird, because then Eun-chan and Hong-gyul sit across the dinner table staring at them.
This really felt like it took like a while to get used to, but like, this is how they are as a couple, and it's not like an overtly passive-aggressive thing like it can see from the outside.
It feels very rewarding, honestly, because I did go through a lot of struggle with this couple. Like, they gave me a lot of heartache, and to see this and to, like, feel happy for them, I was kind of like, this is nice. Like, this is good.
So we go from there to a strategy meeting at Coffee Prince.
Mm-hmm.
Where they are talking about like how opening Coffee Princess is gonna go. Hong-gyul's like, Mr. Hong, please try to come to like the strategy meetings so I don't have to explain everything twice.
Yeah.
And Hong-gyul is just very sad the whole time. And like, somebody mentions like, oh yeah, Eun-chan's coming back soon. Everything's gonna be great at Coffee Princess. Eun-chan's coming back soon.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, guys, she delayed for another year.
Yeah, exactly like that. That's 100% how he sounds. I did also write down CB gets a smack, because I think he's the one who is just kind of he's making a comment about Eun-chan coming back when Han-gyul is obviously sad, and Sengi kind of like reaches over and is like, nope, not now.
You're right.
We did have so this scene transitions into, because Han-gyul is obviously very sad, and Harim kind of is like, hey, why don't we go get beer? You know, like old times. We can have like a boys' night. And I thought it was going to be a boys' night, and it doesn't turn into a boys' night, or if there is one, we don't really see it. However, we do then cut to Mr. Hong and Sengi grocery shopping.
You know, I lost all my shit when this went down. I was like, yo!
So before we get to it, I did actually really like to see Mr. Hong and Sengi are talking. And Mr. Hong kind of like makes a comment. He's like, hey, look at us, two guys who got left by the girl they love. And for the first time, I kind of realized that there's this parallel between Mr. Hong and Sengi in their stories, where not exactly the same, obviously, but they do kind of have like that similar, like they understand each other in that respect of like loving somebody so much that even when they leave you, you're left with those happy memories. But then...
Yeah, I think you're very right about that, and I want to remember that as we get into like another part of the finale.
Yeah.
But so Hong just like sees the wife, his ex-wife, that like has been hyped up like throughout the show since like episode 4 when they do the apple thing. Oh, yeah. And he's like singing a song about this woman who done him wrong. And we get the full backstory, and she's here, and I never expected her in a million years to make an appearance.
It's so like the way that they do it is there's just this family standing over there, and he kind of looks up and he does like a double take because he sees this little boy. And we're like, oh, I wonder what it could be. But then it cuts to him and her sitting together on a bench and like being like, so how you been? And I was like, oh my God, this is her. This is her, like, after all these years, just at a grocery store in his neighborhood. Like,
so small world.
Oh my God.
And like, it's crazy because she looks great, and Mr. Hong looks like Mr. Hong. Yeah. So it's like, you immediately get the sense of, like, how into her he must have been as a kid, because, like, she's gorgeous. And
She is gorgeous. Oh my god.
The whole conversation with them is just like him. He's like, he almost seems like checked out. Like he's very like quiet and like reserved. But they're talking about like, oh, like, yeah, I didn't know you like were still around here, or like, oh, have you moved on? And he's like, no, I'm not seeing anybody. And she's like, I left you so that you would just move on and find somebody better than me. And he was like, whatever. And he like looks in her grocery cart and he's like, why do you have peaches? You're allergic to peaches. And she's like, oh, my husband likes them, so like I just wear gloves when I peel them. And he's like, whatever. And I thought that was like such an interesting, like, taking a step back from like what's happening in the show to like what's happening thematically. The obviously Mr. Hong like loved this person very much, and he carried it with him for such a long time, and he remembers her peach allergy, and now she's with somebody who like not only like might know or might not know about the peach allergy, but just is like, no, like you can peel the peaches with gloves on to make things for me. And it's like this weird, like, she kind of sees that he was like a more sensitive and caring person than the person she ended up with, I think.
Oh.
And
so I actually interpreted this moment as like, this was showing that she used to be somebody who was very, very selfish, who only really did things in her own interest. But now she's met somebody who she's like willing to, you know, like, even though she's allergic to peaches and she doesn't eat them or anything, she is with somebody who does. And so she wants to be able to do this for him. Like, she still will buy peaches and wear gloves to peel them because she's like met somebody who she's willing to do things for. That's how I took it, at least.
That's actually a really interesting thought that didn't occur to me. And the great thing about this is that while this exchange is happening, we kind of just pan out, and Sengi is like sitting perpendicular to them in another row of chairs, and he's like, hey Mr. Hong, our ice cream is gonna melt.
Oh, it's so good, because he's just sitting there with the same look on his face that he always has, and he's just kind of like, hey, we just bought these groceries, we really need to get them to the fridge.
Hey, I really love Cherry Garcia, and if it melts, I'm gonna be real upset.
Oh, it's so good. But oh, God.
I think it's very important for Sengi that he saw this. I think that this, like, informs something that happens later in the episode. But we go from here to, we're following Mr. Hong, and we're having another picnic outside Mr. Koo's butcher shop with the awesome pink neon, and Mama's there.
The old people club. Now
the
even
old
older.
Love triangle. And Mr. Hong is like talking with him. He's like, yeah, I ran to my ex. And Mr. Koo's like, oh, that heartless bitch. I mean, her name. I was like, oh, Mr. Koo he's like ride or die for Hong, but also like Mr. Hong doesn't want anybody saying that.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, you know, it's just the kid looks like me. And Mama is like, oh, that's your thing, though. You think everybody's kid looks like you. When Im-chan was born, you said she looked like you.
Oh, my God.
And he's like, it's the twinkle in his eyes. I have this twinkle in my eye. And she's like, your old dusty eyes haven't twinkled in ages. What are you talking about?
Oh, it's so good.
It's the best. It's as close to, like, the ending that I wanted for the three of them as we're gonna get, honestly.
Yeah, honestly, like, it was good. It was very good. There is a little bit of a nod to, like, you know, I don't remember who says it, but someone mentions kind of like Mr. Koo and Mama dating, and Mama's like, oh, no, like, you know, whatever, like, she's very, like, bashful about it, which is very sweet to see.
Yeah. And then we cut to Harim, who... honestly, I think we called this one. I think this is a point for us with our predictions.
Oh, yeah. No, full points to Jaren. Although there are no children present, you were absolutely right in saying that Harim is just whipped for Biel.
I think it's a little bit better than whipped, because it seems like this nice, like, oh, we're very on again, off again, but like every time one of us tries to leave, the other one is like, no, wait, hold on. And it's really good. It's not really good in practice, but really good in TV.
This scene is very nice for me. It starts out and Biel kind of like makes this comment like, we should break up. And Harim just starts kind of doing this thing that's like, you say that, and I told you. It no longer affects me. You say it every time, and I told you it doesn't work anymore. And then she kind of looks at him, and then he starts kind of doing this bit that's like, oh, you want to break up? Okay. Yep. What time is it right now? Like 7? Yeah, that's a good time for me to break up. Sure thing. Sounds good. I'm gonna leave this coffee that I'm drinking right here. It was very tasty. If you would like it, feel free. And I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go. And at first it's very like, oh, that's their energy. But then we kind of transition into, Biel makes this comment where she's like, you are pretending like everything is fine again. And I know that, like, the hospital that your father runs closed down. Like, do you want to talk about it? Like, are you okay? And he, like, sits back down and he's kind of like, well, my dad, yeah, the hospital's closed, but he'll just open another one. It'll be fine. And they just have this very sweet moment of kind of like, because Harim this whole time has had this like, it always feels like nothing is that serious to him. He's very playful, very happy-go-lucky. He's got this playboy thing, he's seeing one girl and then seeing the next, and everything is kind of like fine and jokey. And to have somebody who kind of like looks him in the eyes and is like, I can tell that you're going through a rough time right now, and I know that it's affecting you, and if you want to talk about it, like, you can talk to me, was just like so good, personally.
Yes, that one little interaction just sells me on the Harim Biel relationship.
Yes, I think that not only kind of along the lines of what I was saying last time, where it was like, oh, he's met his match, he's met a girl who isn't going to fall for his tricks and who will kind of like give it right back to him what he's giving to her. But also they are willing to try and understand each other. And it's obviously that they do kind of understand each other. And it's just very nice to see. I'm very happy for Harim that he's found someone who is willing to look him in the face and kind of be like, I know that you're pretending that you're happy right now.
Yeah, that was a good moment. And then they go bang in the laboratory.
Yeah. And Harim even is like, I'm getting tired of the laboratory. And then he like is like, let's go.
He's like, grab everything quick. And
so then we cut to Yuju.
Yes.
So this is actually the scene I was talking about earlier, where she can't really sleep, and she kind of goes out to the balcony, and there's just these little baby shoes on the ledge, and she's just looking at them. And this is kind of where it starts to solidify that, like, yes, they lost the child. This baby is not here.
Yeah. And Hansung just kind of comes out and, like, sits in it with her.
They do kind of wrap this scene up very, like, warmly, I think, because Hansung kind of, like, drags her over to this little bench area that they have outside, and he's like, come on, back to bed. And he just kind of, like, koalas around here and is like, it's time to sleep. Right here. We're sleeping right here. And this whole scene kind of, like, gives this sense of, like, yes, this happened, and it is hurting them, and they're both obviously not over the fact, because that's something very traumatic and very difficult. But they are still together, and they're still love each other, and they are continuing on with their lives regardless. So I think definitely a tough way to wrap it up for this couple, this kind of whole episode and everything that they have to go through for that. But just good to see them. I think they end it well, regardless.
Mm-hmm.
So then we just kind of cut to Han Gyul absolutely pissing off his downstairs neighbors because he's just like dribbling this basketball. Like, he's just out on his patio just dribbling. I don't think he even has like a basketball hoop, so I don't really know like what.
I thought that. I was like, oh, does he have like a basketball hoop? And he's just not shooting. He's just kind of like playing with the ball.
Yeah, and whoever lives below him, their life sucks because this basketball is making like the loudest bounce noises that I've ever heard a basketball make.
It would be one thing if it was just a basketball, but he like hops on the back of his bench and rides it down into the floor.
Yeah, he's
and I was like, Jesus.
Just making a ruckus, honestly. Because he's sad because he doesn't think his girlfriend's gonna come home for another year.
God.
But that's kind of like honestly it, because then we cut. We just like we have to see him being sad and dribbling.
We need to
basketball.
know that he's sad.
Yeah. We couldn't tell by all the other sad boy moments he has, but now it's really solidified in our hearts because he's sad enough to not even care what the people who live below him. Like that. If they I
get a
probably
noise
sleeping.
Complaint, somebody will call me.
Yeah, it's like dark outside. It's probably late at night. They're probably just trying to sleep.
God.
And then we cut to Coffee Prince, and we find out that this new girl, new student who's here following around Mr. Hong, I believe she said her name was Da Young. She kind of like comes to the back area because she's trying to learn the waffle trade from Sengi, and he is not having it. He's like, leave me alone. But then she reveals that she actually learned how to speak Japanese and that she even like studied abroad in Japan for a little while. And Sengi is kind of like, wow, it's so nice to like be able to speak in my own language with somebody else for once. And then he kind of like instantly warms up to her. He's like, you know what? I'll absolutely teach you about the waffles. You know what? Come here.
Yeah, and then CB's like Japanese alarm goes off because he immediately pokes his head in and does like the same thing he did many episodes ago where he's like, are you guys talking about me? What are you saying? You speak Japanese?
Although I will say that he's gotten much better because in the past it made him mad and now he's just kind of like, are you guys talking Japanese? Let me guess, you're talking about me? And then they like talk in Japanese a little more and he's like, and he just walks away.
Yeah, they're like, oh, Sungi's like, I said something nice about you, and he's like, I don't believe you anymore. And I was like, there's the maturity. He's grown.
He graduated. He's much better now. No longer the, dubiously xenophobic maybe CB. Now has foreign friend and is very happy about it.
Good.
It's very good to see this character development because honestly, CB is such a wonderful character and that was just a stain on his record. So then, Han Gyul he's gotta interview new baristas for Coffee Princess and he is not happy about it.
Yeah, he's at the place called the Coffee Bean. For a second I was like, oh, is this Coffee Princess? But like, no, it's just the Bean.
Nah, the other one, Remember back in the beginning when we set up Coffee Prince, there were like 2 other coffee shops within like a block. So he's just visiting his competitor.
Honestly, it did feel weird because it's just like, oh yeah, we're going to have this interview here at a neutral coffee shop instead of my coffee shop.
Yeah, she could have just been like, come to Coffee Prince and have an interview.
So he's there, and the interviewee that he's currently talking to is like, yeah, I want to open my own business someday. Honestly, like, accepting this job would be like a pay cut for me, so I'm going to ask for like double. And then Han Gyul is pretty much immediately like, okay, the agency will notify you about the results of this interview. Yeah. So like, as this lady is like leaving this disastrous interview, and Han Gyul's like, Jesus, where am I gonna find a barista to like be the person in charge of my new restaurant?
Where am I gonna get a barista on such short notice?
They do this really cool thing where the camera's like anchored, and we just see this big dumb face like approaching with scruffy hair. And then she gets fully behind him and she's like, manager, 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 manager. And then he turns around and it's Unchan. And he's just like so stunned that he doesn't even react.
He does not know what to do because she's here. She lied. There is no extra year. She's here.
She lied.
Right now.
Which, honestly, everything we know about Hong Yul, it's probably better not to lie, because he seems to take that very personally. Like, when he found out that you were lying about being a boy.
He was incredibly sad.
But his like, silence here, I was like, uh-oh, uh-oh, uh-oh. But she just starts being really cute and is like, I heard you were interviewing for this job, and I'm like a fucking international barista superstar.
Oh my god, yeah.
And
she's
you don't
like,
even have to pay me.
I hear you need a barista, and I happen to be an barista. But get this, you don't even have to pay me money. Just food. I request breakfast, lunch, dinner, midnight snack. Also, I can lift heavy thing. Clean. I'm good at clean. Really, you're getting a bargain here.
She's like, yeah, I'll do whatever you want for the rest of our lives. And she, like, moves from her chair to, like, sit in his lap. Mm-hmm. And at this point, I go, okay, it's one thing to have PDA at your own coffee shop. But you can't go down the street to another person's coffee shop and do your PDA there.
They've evolved. This couple is known that if they're in a coffee shop, you know you getting some PDA.
It's the bean smell.
Oh my god, the poor other people in this cafe who just kind of like saw this girl walk in, and when this guy is obviously like doing interviews, and she immediately launches into like, you can hire me, and then before he is even out of his state of shock, she just sits on his lap.
Oh.
Everyone's probably like, what is going on? Like, what the actual hell is happening?
He, like, finally snaps out of his stupor and is like, does that mean you want to get married? And she just immediately skates over the question and is like, how's grandma? Like, just, like, deflecting. And he's like, why are you deflecting? And then we never get an answer.
You know, good old Un-chan. You know how it is.
So they call Granny, and it's honestly just so... The editing here really got me, because, like, Granny just picks up the phone, and it's just, like, a cut to Granny, and she's alive and well, and I'm like, oh, it's great! Like, she's good!
Oh, yeah, it's
We dispelled it all right there.
We truly hadn't heard from her at all, so it was totally possible up to this point that she could have, in fact, been dead.
Yeah. But the Granny's alive. Granny's, like, smiling while Un-chan is talking to her, which is great. And Un-chan's like, hey, I got you gifts. I'm gonna bring them to you tomorrow. Bye, Grandma. She calls them, like, Grandma and Mother and Father, and I'm like, that's very sweet.
Yeah, I wrote down, like, everybody just loves Un-chan, because, like, in the time that she's come back, it seems that she's just, like, putting a smile on everyone's face. And it's so... Like, Mom and Dad are just, like, sitting there kind of grinning, being like, oh, Chan's back? Oh, it's gonna be so nice to see her. Oh, my gosh. Like, what a good kid. What a good work ethic. What a lovely gal. And I'm just, like, so stoked in general, just because when she comes back, she has this, like, super cute, like, bob hairstyle now, and it's, like, a little curled. And she's wearing, like, this
very good.
sick, interesting shirt that has like a collar on one side and then no collar on the other side, and I'm sure it's like fashion forward or something, but it's kind of giving me flashbacks to Han Gyul's shirt that buttoned up on a little asymmetrically. But she looks so good. She's glowing. She is back. She is obviously like well experienced. I think when they're in the car, she makes this comment that's like, so I got invited to this latte art thing, but I was thinking like, hey, after that we could like go get dinner or something like that. And it's just like, oh, this is so nice. Like, look at her. She's really living her dream. I'm so proud of her.
Yes, everything. She's matured. She's like good at what she does, and it's super nice to like see her thriving. And it's also super nice to, at Coffee Prince, see everybody lose their goddamn mind on the clock when Unchan comes back.
Han Gyul pulls up into his signature parking spot that's just right at the entrance of the cafe. And he, gets out. He opens the door for her. We kind of cut and we see, the boys, see what's happening. And they're like, And then Han Gyul takes her hand and he just screams, "My girlfriend is here!" And everyone just goes apeshit. They're like, "Unchan is here!" They're all running out. Just they just pick her up.
They do. Oh, it's so good.
Oh, it's so good. It's so, I love this. I just love, getting this wonderful visual representation of just what a positive force she is and has been for all of these people. And, when she comes back, just every single person is happy. Nobody sees Unchan and is like, oh, it's her again. Everybody is just so excited.
People are eating, and the entire staff of this restaurant is hoisting a girl and just running around, and it's
Harim literally catches a glimpse of her and just screams at the top of his lungs, "My Chan!" And he just comes over. Honestly, I'm sure the patrons are happy because where have they been getting their quality drama content when she's been gone? They come to Coffee Prince and there's no will they won't they. What's the point?
Han Gyul is video calling during the trip for them. It's a big screen that they project on the side of the Coffee Prince.
Every Friday they have a beat poetry thing, but it's just Han Gyul reading the letters that she gets from her.
Oh my god. I love it.
Oh man. But yes.
Then we get a kind of a montage-esque scene where we're going around Coffee Prince as the camera and seeing what everybody's doing. And CB is kind of feeling himself. He's half dancing as he's cleaning up the upstairs of Coffee Prince.
He's practicing his runway walk.
Is that? Oh my god.
Mm-hmm. He's awesome. He practices his walk and he strikes a couple of poses and he's really excited about being a model.
That's so good.
I'm so happy for him. CB gone model. Sengi now has this student. She's here. Dayoung is all in on the waffles. She's doing great.
Yes, this was what I wanted to mention with the Mr. Hong scene from earlier. Was the sense I got from this scene was that Sungi, after seeing Mr. Hong, who held on to this love for a long time, and then the woman that he loved eventually just kind of ends up happy somewhere else. It felt like maybe Sungi was making a conscious decision to be more friendly or to open up more and try to meet new people as opposed to just kind of holding on to this one thing for the rest of his life. Yeah, this was very nice to see, just him making a connection with somebody. It's been very nice to see him throughout the entirety of the show just go from being this angsty waffle boy who's just here, cut me the check. And then he just slowly develops this friendship with these quirky Coffee Prince employees. And he just comes out of his shell bit by bit. And now we see him opening up to somebody his student. And maybe, I don't know, she's cute. I don't know, maybe, I don't know. I don't know, maybe, maybe she's cute. I don't know.
Maybe, I don't know.
Maybe.
Oh, it's so good. We also get this final scene of Sung and Yuju, where they're biking. They have a little vacation. And then they're on the back of a truck, I guess hitchhiking. I don't really know what's going on here. Yeah. Han Sung texts Yuju, and she opens up her phone and she just sees that it's from Han Sung, and she looks at him and then she reads it, and then she responds, and I don't remember what exactly it said, but I know that it was extremely cute, and that Han Sung just upon reading Yuju's text goes just on this truck into nothing, because they're in the middle of nowhere. And it's just so good to have this nice little final scene with them that makes me feel like everything is going to be okay.
Yes. I think what he texts her is, are you smiling because you have a great husband? And she texts back, right. I'm happy.
And then he goes, Wah! It's so, like, deliberately, like, there's definitely a W at the beginning of it. Like, it's like a Wah! It's just... Yuju's probably like, oh my god, he's doing this.
And at that last Coffee Prince scene, we get, like, Harim's final moment, where he doesn't die. It's not his final moment. It's just the last that we see him in the
surprise!
He's like flirting with these two girls and like getting their numbers, and then he gets a call from Biel, and he's like, "Oh hey, what's up, babe?" Like, no, this lady was trying to force her number on me. Like, it's very like, I get the sense that they both do that kind of shit, so it's fine.
Yeah, like, there's a scene earlier in the episode where she's like sitting with like these two boys at Coffee Prince, and Harim just kind of like looks out and is like, "What is she doing? What's going on over there? What kind of situation is this?"
And then after that last scene with Sung and Yuju, we get like a fun final montage while Coffee is My Greatest Love plays. And we see like all these cute moments from the show, and it really got me
really
like,
quick
nostalgic.
before we get to that, we do actually have a final scene with Han-gyeol and Un-chen where Han-gyeol is practicing how to make coffee.
Yeah.
And
I forgot.
He pours her a little cup. He does like the, what is it, like the drip method or whatever, where he pours the water directly over the filter with the coffee grounds. And then Un-chen takes the cup and she takes a sip and she just immediately sticks her tongue out and is like, bleh. And then she takes another sip and she's like, oh? And then she's like, very good. Excellent job, Mr. Han-gyeol. Your coffee is coming along quite nicely. And then we just kind of like, the camera pans out from the scene of the two of them sitting at this table kind of in the window. And then we get this montage and we just, it's so good. All of the cute moments, all of the kisses, all of the bump, everything. And then we get a final shot of all of them standing outside the cafe saying goodbye, and then there's a little sign that says Coffee Prince is officially closed.
Yeah, it was so sad. Like, they literally all say goodbye, and I wrote, oh, goodbye, in my notes. They included, like, some cool production photos and footage.
Yeah, so this is actually a really common thing in K-dramas. At the end, you'll generally get, like, this cute little wrap-up production, kind of like, you know, little clips from behind the scenes, pictures of the entire cast and crew, and there'll generally be a final picture of the entire cast. This is actually a really common thing for K-dramas. You'll always get that like end wrap up where everybody kind of says like, thank you for watching our show, you know, we worked really hard on it, see you next time in whatever we do next, kind of thing.
I really loved that. I thought that was such a sweet like finish to everything.
Yeah.
And I think Fly Me to the Moon is playing for part of it, which is awesome. And there's footage of the crane that they use to get all the cool car footage, which honestly looks even more dangerous than the car footage because there's just like no walls on this platform that they're filming off of.
Yes, very nerve-wracking. Absolutely. I think maybe my favorite part is that CB, as his actor self, actually is wearing glasses, and he looks excellent in them.
Yes, he really did.
He works those glasses.
There was, I think, maybe a director cameo in this episode, because in the photos, I recognized the guy from the modeling shot earlier in the episode that Unsei hands the stuff to. Yeah. He's in the pictures at the end.
Oh my gosh. All these years I've never noticed. That's so cool. I love that.
Yeah.
I wonder if that's also a common thing.
I wonder if it is. I would be curious to find out. And I think we will find out because we're definitely going to watch more K-drama in the future.
Oh, absolutely. Listen, Jen, this is just the tip of the iceberg. Truly the one that propelled me into the rom-com fanatic that I am today. Oh, man. Oh, but yeah, this is the end of Coffee Prince. We're done. We drank all the coffee, every cup. So we actually are going to have a kind of a final wrap-up episode where we talk about like all of our overall feelings, share some final thoughts after watching the entire show together. But before we end this episode, I do want to say, or I do want to ask, Jaren, what are your like final thoughts on this episode specifically?
On this episode specifically, I think it does an excellent job of being the last hour of this show. We have big tearful goodbye, and then we probably don't have to sit in it for longer than the time of a commercial break. And the extra year surprise, that really got me. I didn't think that was going to happen at all. And then of course it's a double bait and switch. It's written in a way where you, even though you know that Unchant's coming back, you think she might not.
Oh yeah.
So then you get the good surprise along with everyone else.
Definitely got me the first time I watched. I was like, are you kidding me?
And even the challenging stuff with Hansung and Yuju, that last scene where they're on the back of the truck and they are together and they're just living and experiencing new things, and I feel like that they are a strong couple and that they are happy together, and that's like the ultimate ending is them just like driving away on the back of that truck.
Yeah.
It's better than what I predicted, I think.
Really? You think so? You didn't want to see Harim with 2 gremlin children or something like that?
No, I feel like they knew the characters and they knew what the perfect ending for each of them was.
I agree. I think paced very well, just really gives like a good feeling ending for every character that we kind of met, doesn't necessarily leave us on a note of like this is the end, but does leave us with kind of just like hope for their futures, even though we won't get to see them. But yeah, I liked it a lot. What a good ending to a very good series.
I agree.
Wow, well, after 17 cups of coffee, don't know if I'll sleep tonight, but...
Dork.
Thanks. Thank you guys so much for coming along this coffee journey with us. Like I said, tune in next time and we'll kind of give like an overall how did we feel about the series as a whole, to really talk about the things that we maybe didn't get to mention, and just give our overall thoughts on the series. But for now, goodbye. See everybody next time. Thank you so much for listening, and love you. Mwah, mwah, mwah.
Goodbye. Love y'all.
Bye.